it was a joy to have Javier being the writer and director.
I got to see your movie. I've been a huge fan of yours for a long time. You get to have some fun. You get to be a bad guy, but you get to be kind of one of those delicious bad guys.
Yeah. A bit sophisticated. Yes. Yeah. Against the grain of what he's doing, actually, which I always enjoy. I mean, first of all, it's always fun to be the antagonist, because you've got a lot more freedom in so many ways, especially what they write, but then what you can bring to it, which is always fun. That's
kind of what I was wondering, like how much of that jolliness was baked into the script and how much did you get to bring to it? Because I'm thinking of the different characters, how Kellen has to kind of be this deadly serious bullet because his story is so serious, but you're so flippant about human life that you get to have fun with it.
Well, Javier had it written in there. The lines, the lines are there, and I'm sure we moved and grooved with some of this stuff. But I think, if I remember correctly, because it's a while ago, but first of all, it's a joy to work with Javier, and it's always a joy to work with a writer who's now directing, because it's their story and it's their words. And in the moment, it's kind of like it would be comparable to rehearsing a new play. You have the luxury of developing during that period. But when you have a writer-director on a film, you don't have the time to change things or move and groove things. If the writer were, let's say, we were in Seattle. Yes, we were in Seattle. Let's say if the writer were in Los Angeles, and we'd have to get on the phone and talk to him. But as I'm saying, it was a joy to have Javier being the writer and director. And to your question, I think we worked very well together and just kind of put a little humor or a little edge on something that was already there. So I don't want to take anything away from what he had written. I just jumped in and added a few things, as it were. Yeah.
Well, it works. The movie's pretty awesome. I'm glad I got to see it, and I'm glad I got to talk to you and Kellen and Efron.
Great cast, wonderful cast.
When you finally have that, not spoiling anything, that scene of all three of you at the end, it's like, oh, I've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
You won't spoil it by saying there was a bat involved.
No.
A baseball bat, but you're just not saying who had
it. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So it's always a big deal for me personally when I get to talk to someone who was on my favorite TV show of all time. You got to blow up the car in Miami Vice.
Oh my God. The end of the first season. Yeah.
No, season 3.
Was it 3?
3.
Oh, okay. Well, I stand corrected. Do you remember the line I said to Don Johnson after I blew up the car and turned to him?
Oh, no, I don't.
I guess I'm going to have to give you boys a ride back to town.
Man. Well, so where were you in your career when you did that, and what was it like, with Michael Mann and all that, or if he was even around at that point?
Exactly where it was, because I had just finished. I was in a very good place because before that I'd done a couple films, Silverado, and I don't know if I had done Psycho 3 at that point. I think I did. But what happened was, before that, I was in London on the West End doing a play called Orphans, very successful play written by Lyle Kessler, directed by Gary Sinise. It had come out of Steppenwolf, and they did it in New York. And then when they took it over to the West End in London, it was Albert Finney and myself and Kevin Anderson, directed by Gary Sinise. So we had, I think, maybe 5 months of a great run on a very successful show. And I was asked by that group to come and do the show in Miami. So I literally got off a plane and went to the set. And I'd been on stage for 5 months. So then it's always a great joy to go from theater to film or to TV after theater, because it's just a different beast and you have a lot more fun. It's wonderful. So, in answer to your question, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. Just like this film, Do Justice. Working with Elias, the producer, and Al, I think I've done this is my 6th film with Elias, my 4th with Al, the producers, and it's my 2nd with Javier. He wrote Black Warren. It's the first working with him as a director, so it was like going back to the family, because they called me up and asked me to do it, and I didn't even read it. I said, "For you guys, anything, I'm in," and then read it and thought, yeah, I'll have some fun with this.
Nice. I mean, just that you said that, I always get the impression that if you work with someone multiple times, it means that they want to have you back.
Yeah. It's like working with Robert Rodriguez. I think we've worked together now 7 times, and we'll be working together hopefully in the summer. Fingers crossed that we're going into Alita Battle Angel 2. Ooh. And yeah. So it's great. As I said, I'm looking forward to working with Javier again. And also, I don't know how many films this is that I've done that Saban has distributed. So it's really, like you say, it's good when that phone rings and they say, "Can you come back?" It's always a great joy.
Was that the case? I mean, it was quite a few years apart, but going from Miami Vice to The Marshal, which was John Johnson producing. Was
exactly.
that a case of him remembering you, or were you buddies?
Exactly. It was Don and I remained friends. We met on that and we remained friends. And he picked up the phone. He said, "Jeff, I remember I was at the gym. It was a Friday evening. It's around 5 or 6 o'clock. He said, "Jeff, can you meet me over at ABC at their studios? I mean, their executive offices over in Century City." He said, "I got a show. It's a great show. I want you to be the lead. Let's go in and talk to the president of the network." And that's what happened. And it happened just like that in a day. Boom. And next thing you know, we walked out of the office with a green light. I mean, and that was Don picking up the phone, going back to Miami Vice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember now if you had any scenes together in Machete. I don't think you did. Did you?
Don and I, no, we didn't.
No.
But it was great.
Was that another? Did you bring him into that?
No, that was it's a wonderful thing about one of the many wonderful things about Robert Rodriguez. He's a big fan, as Tarantino is, of a lot of the cats that they grew up watching, and that's the case with Don, with Robert, and with Quentin, and it's the same with me and Robert. I mean, he was watching my films when he was a teenager, and that's how he hired me. So I guess the moral of this story is if you stick around long enough and you make a few friends, you'll end up working forever if you stick around long enough. Yeah.
Better to build them than to burn bridges, which I should probably learn about.
Well, I'm sure you've built a number of great bridges, brother.
I'm trying. But so last question, if I've got time for one more. You've had such an illustrious career. You've been in so much stuff. Is there anything in particular that you felt so proud of, but maybe it didn't get the attention it deserved? It kind of came and went, and you were like, "Oh, that's too bad. I really liked that one." Anything you want to shout out for Screen Rant?
No, actually, again, it's almost, I would say, going on 48 years in the business. You just show up and deliver and do the best you can, and it's in the hands of the gods, as it were. And if it hits the bullseye and it has a life, that's fantastic. And if it doesn't, you've always walked away with a new group of friends, with a new experience. You can be doing this for 10 years to 50 years to 60 years. But you always walk out of a project knowing more than what you did when you walked in. And so to answer your question, I don't think about that. I just do the best I can, have a good time, and roll on down the road.
Well, thank you so much. It's been an honor to get to talk to you. You're one of my favorite actors, amazing philanthropist. Lawnmower Man was the movie that traumatized me as a kid. I loved it so much, though.
Well, I'm here to say you're okay.
And thank you so much. I hope to talk to you again soon. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you.